Hello and welcome to the Peacekeeper Project. My name is Ben. Now today I want to continue talking about connection, deepening into this subject so you can have a deeper understanding of it within yourself. Now in the first video, I talked more about what is connection in a very practical and tangible way that you can use it to identify and feel it within yourself. But in this video, I'm going to talk about connection in this sense of this longing to be part of something greater than ourselves. Because this longing is really based deep in the heart. This deep part of us that already knows connection. We already feel that sense of connection. And this longing is a pathway back. It can bring us back into the heart. So whether we're consciously aware of it or not, this longing to connect and be part of something greater fuels many human behaviors because connection permeates all of life. And sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not so obvious. So even in situations and events where you may not expect this connection or heart to be, it's there in the background, like a distant memory of something you once knew very intimately, but it's fueling certain aspects of our behavior. So in this video, I'm going to explore how connection manifests in different parts of life. I'm going to start with the most obvious and then move into the less obvious or even hidden aspects of connection. And as we go through this journey, stay with me because it's a journey and I invite you to feel it as we go. Reflect on your own circumstance, your own experiences as we journey into feeling this connection, because this is really what it's about. Bringing us back into this feeling of connection deep in our heart. All right, so let's start with connection and belonging. Connection brings this feeling of belonging, this feeling of being part of something greater than ourselves. And this can bring us together to work together, and beliefs, values, and goals, among other things, can be things that we connect over, that bring us together. Now, for example, it could be also sports, team sports. Maybe it's studying together. Maybe you're in a band or you play music together. Maybe it's hiking, mountain biking, skiing, or doing some kind of activity together. Maybe it's a mastermind group. Maybe it's a meditation group. There are different things that we connect over. And if you've been part of any of these or any groups that I haven't mentioned, then take a moment to reflect and feel that sense of connection. Now, there's a thing we connect over, and then there's the connection. And in the context of this and what I'm talking about, it's not necessarily what you did, what you connected over, the activity, it's that you did it together. You did it with someone else, or you did it with a group of people. There's this feeling, underlying feeling of connection, this togetherness. It feels good. And you feel it in your heart, right? Right. Now let's talk about connection and support. The feeling of connection also brings a feeling of support. Now that could be through examples that I just gave, but it could also be when there's been a trauma of some kind. So maybe that's an injury, maybe it's an assault, maybe it's sickness, heartbreak, maybe loss. But at some point during our journey of healing, we turn to other people. We get this support through connection because we inherently know the healing power of connection. So we turn to it naturally. And that could be as simple as just sharing how you feel, sharing your experience with someone who is just listening, genuinely listening without judging. Now, it could also be that you're sharing your experiences and you're meeting up with other people who've had similar experiences or similar traumas or injuries. Coming together, sharing how you feel, hearing other people's stories. There's this underlying connection comes through and supports the healing of everyone. Because connection is this supportive force that allows people to feel and heal their pain in a way they may not have been able to do on their own. Another important aspect of this is when we have traumas, there's often these intense emotions associated with them. And that can make us feel disconnected and alone. But when we feel this disconnection, there's a real disconnection inside us to something of our heart, and it disconnects us from ourselves, but also from other people. But then when we have this sense of connection and support and people coming together and sharing their experiences and people who have had similar experiences, then there's this feeling that we're not alone. And when we start to feel that again, it reconnects us back into this feeling of connection. And that feeling of connection is powerful in its healing. And if you've had experiences like this in healing groups, or you've been through traumas and you've been to support groups, then take a moment to reflect on that and feel that underlying support. So beyond the pain or perhaps discomfort of the emotion and the experiences that people might have been going through, there's this beautiful underlying sense, this feeling of connection in the background supporting the process. So feel that. If you've been through it, even if you haven't, you've been through it with groups that have supported you in some way, there is this underlying feeling of connection. So really feel that. Connect to it. All right, so now let's go to the less obvious manifestations of connection. These hidden connections, connection with a twist. This longing for connection lies in our essence. It's part of who we are. It's part of the fabric of life. But this longing for connection is so strong that it brings people to connect over all kinds of things. But that doesn't mean that those things that we connect over necessarily align with our heart. So for example, complaining. Have you noticed how easy it is to come together around complaining? Someone's complaining about something, then someone else joins in, and there's this fueling the fire of frustration or anger, and there's a connecting around it. The complaining is an avenue to connect over. Now, this is not about judging whether we should complain or shouldn't complain or what we're actually complaining about. This is just about identifying the actual underlying feeling of connection, this pull to come together. Because we could complain on our own, but it just doesn't feel quite the same as when we complain to other people and we share that complaint. Because there's something about there's an emotional venting. There's that, but then there's this coming together. So when you've done that, or when you do that, just take a moment to reflect, feel that sense of this underlying connection, a craving to connect, to be part of something greater. It's something deeper, like complaining is not necessarily greater, but there's this underlying something that I'm pointing you towards that you can feel and connect with, because some part of it feels good. But the thing about complaining is it does bring us together, but it can keep that sense of connecting at a more superficial level. But if we can identify the actual underlying feeling of connection, then something can take us deeper, and then we might drop the complaining altogether. All right, so let's look at a more extreme example. Let's look at this hidden connection. So we can also see this play out in more extreme examples. So let's say people come together around ill intentions. So maybe they're planning some kind of riot, violence, or some criminal activity. There's a coming together around a shared goal or vision of some kind. And there's this feeling of being part of something greater than themselves as individuals. But does this mean that the violence or the crime or the planned riot is an expression of the heart? No. Does this underlying connection justify violence? No. The underlying connection is not the act. So this is where we need to understand the twist, because this underlying connection, it's an expression of the heart. This longing to be part of something greater, this sense of unity that we know deep in our heart. It's calling us. But this calling is so strong that it can pull us to connect over things that have nothing to do with our heart. So there is this underlying connection somewhere in the background, but the act is not in alignment with our heart. So when we don't understand and align with the source of this longing, then it can be easily twisted. Now, to be very clear, I'm not suggesting that this underlying connection justifies any kind of violent or criminal behavior. It doesn't. The point here is identifying the power of connection that manifests in different aspects of human behavior. Because not everything that we feel called to connect over aligns with our heart, aligns with the source of this desire to connect or this reconnection with ourself. So ideally, we want to connect from that space, and there will be more integrity with our actions. So how do we take this and make it practical? Well, take time to reflect on the examples that I've given. Now, I'm sure you're not a violent criminal, so you don't have to worry about that, but whether you're in a sporting team or doing activities with friends, family, or you've been in a support group, or if you get caught up complaining, start to feel that underlying sense of connection. So there's the thing that you connect over, the activity, support, complaining. But then there's this underlying feeling of connection. Something feels good. Something touches you in your heart. So start to identify that, and just starting to identify that puts you in touch with it. It's reconnecting to the source of that longing. Because in that longing, there is no longing. It's just this feeling of connection. The longing is this memory to bring us back to that place. So play with it, have fun, and be curious. And remember, as you go deeper into this feeling of connection, it not only changes you, but it changes the people around you. It changes how we connect. We connect more deeply with our friends, our family, the people we interact with. And this is good for you, me, it's good for the world. The world needs much more connection. So do your part and feel that sense of connection, connect to it, and bring that to the world. All right, now let me know in the comments, was this video helpful? Did it make sense? Did it bring up more questions about connection that I can clarify further? Let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, because this is really the best thing you can do to help me build this channel so more people can find videos like this. All right, now I'm going to leave this here, but thank you for being here, and I really appreciate your presence. Until the next time, quiet your mind and live from your heart.